The sun hung low over the rugged Wyoming plains, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers across the dusty earth. Caleb Harrow wiped the sweat from his brow with a calloused hand, his eyes scanning the horizon where the sky met the endless sea of grass. At 32, he was a man shaped by isolation, his frame lean and hardened from years of wrestling with the land. His ranch, a modest spread of weathered fences and a single-story cabin, stood as a testament to his stubborn will, a place he'd carved out after the war, when the world had seemed too crowded with ghosts and regrets. He'd come west seeking solitude, but lately, that solitude had gnawed at him like a persistent ache. That's why he'd placed the advertisement in the Eastern papers, seeking a mail-order bride to share the quiet burdens of frontier life. Her name was Eliza Thornton, a schoolteacher from Boston, and her letters had painted pictures of a woman with a gentle spirit and a thirst for adventure. Today was the day she'd arrive on the stagecoach from Cheyenne, and Caleb had spent the morning pacing, his boots kicking up small clouds of dirt as he imagined her stepping down, her skirts brushing the ground, her eyes meeting his for the first time. The cabin was as ready as it could be. He'd scrubbed the floors until the wood gleamed faintly under the oil lamp's light, mended the curtains that had frayed from the relentless wind, and even baked the loaf of bread that now cooled on the windowsill, its aroma mingling with the scent of sagebrush outside. His horse, a sturdy bay named Rusty, nickered softly from the corral, as if sensing his owner's unease. Caleb adjusted his hat, the brim worn from years of shielding his face from sun and storm, and checked his pocket watch for the umpteenth time. Noon had come and gone, and the stage was late. He told himself it was nothing unusual, or ruts in the road, a lame horse, perhaps a delay at the last way station. But doubt crept in, whispering of what ifs. What if she reconsidered? What if the journey had proven too daunting for a city woman? He pushed the thoughts aside, focusing instead on the letter folded in his shirt pocket, her words a fragile anchor. "I long for the open skies you describe, Mr. Harrow." They sound like freedom. As the afternoon wore on, the heat shimmered off the ground, distorting the distant hills. Caleb sat on the porch steps, his rifle leaning against the railing, not out of fear, but habit. The plains were home to coyotes, rattlesnakes, and the occasional drifter, but today felt different. A prickling at the back of his neck made him stand, his gaze sharpening on a rising plume of dust to the east. It was too large for the stagecoach, too widespread. His heart quickened as the dust resolved into movement. The riders, hundreds of them, their forms silhouetted against the blazing sky. Feathers caught the light, and the faint rhythm of drums carried on the wind. Native warriors, Lakota, he guessed, from the stories he'd heard at the trading post. But why here? His ranch was off the beaten path, a forgotten corner claimed from government land sales that promised peace after the treaties. Panic surged, but Caleb forced it down, grabbing his rifle as he backed toward the cabin door. The riders approached in a sweeping arc, their horses pounding the earth like thunder. He counted them rally at 300, maybe 400, the war paint streaking their faces, lances and bows at the ready. This wasn't a raiding party, it was an army. Caleb's mind raced through possibilities. Had there been trouble at the fort? Rumors of broken promises and encroaching settlers had been swirling for months, but he'd kept his head down, focusing on his own survival. Now, that isolation felt like a trap. He barred the door behind him, peering through the narrow window as the warriors encircled the ranch, their formation precise and unyielding. A single rider detached from the group, a towering figure on a white and black pinto, his headdress adorned with eagle feathers that fluttered like banners. He rode forward slowly, his eyes locked on the cabin, and dismounted with the grace of someone born to the saddle. Caleb recognized the markings. This was no ordinary brave, this was a leader, perhaps a chief. The man raised a hand, and the drumming ceased, leaving only the snort of horses and the whisper of wind. "White man," the leader called, his voice deep and resonant, carrying an accent that spoke of ancient tongues. "Come out. We mean no harm if you listen." Caleb hesitated, his finger hovering over the trigger. Harm or not, he was outnumbered beyond reason. Swallowing hard, he unbarred the door and stepped onto the porch, rifle lowered but ready. Up close, the leader was imposing, his face etched with lines of wisdom and warmth, his dark eyes piercing. "I'm Caleb Harrow," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. "This is my land. What do you want?" The leader regarded him for a long moment, as if appraising a horse at auction. "I am Spotted Eagle, of the Oglala Lakota. This land is not yours. It belongs to the spirits of our ancestors. Promised entreaties your people have shattered like brittle bones." He gestured to the warriors behind him, their faces a mosaic of determination and restrained anger. "We come not for blood, but for justice. The buffalo vanished, our rivers run dry from your dams, and now you build on sacred ground." Caleb's stomach twisted. He'd bought the deed fair and square, or so he'd thought. The surveyor in Cheyenne had assured him it was unclaimed, but whispers at the saloon had hinted as disputous old claims ignored and the rush for gold ungrazing. "I didn't know," he admitted, the words tasting like ash. "I just wanted a place to call home, away from the crowds." Spotted Eagle's expression softened slightly, a flicker of understanding in his gaze. "Many say the same, but words mean nothing when actions steal our future." He glanced at the horizon, where the dust from their approach still lingered. "Your woman does not come." The stage was turned back at the river crossing. White soldiers blocked the way, fearing unrest. The news hit Caleb like a gut punch. Eliza delayed, or worse, deterred. His dreams of companionship evaporated in an instant, replaced by the harsh reality before him. "What now?" he asked, his voice hoarse. "You gonna run me off? Kill me?" Spotted Eagle shook his head. "We are not butchers. Leave by dawn, and take what is yours. Stay, and we cannot promise peace." He mounted his horse, turning to his warriors with a sharp command in Lakota. As they began to set up camp around the ranch, fires flickering to life under the deepening twilight, Caleb retreated inside, his mind a whirlwind. The night passed in uneasy vigil. Caleb sat by the window, watching the glow of campfires dot the darkness like stars fallen to earth. Laughter and chants drifted on the air, a reminder that these were people, not monsters of families, warriors, bound by blood and tradition. He thought of his own past, the Civil War battlefields where he'd lost brothers, the endless march home to find his family farm foreclosed. The West had been his escape, but now it seemed the cycle repeated. By midnight, exhaustion claimed him, his head nodding against the rifle stock. Dawn broke with the chorus of birdsong, but the warriors were already stirring. Caleb packed what he could of bedroll, provisions, his futile loading them onto Rusty. As he led the horse from the corral, Spotted Eagle approached again, this time with a younger warrior at his side, a boy no older than 16, his eyes wide with curiosity. "You go east?" Spotted Eagle asked. Caleb nodded. "Back to Cheyenne, I reckon. Find work, or..." He trailed off, the future a blank slate. The chief placed a hand on Caleb's shoulder, a surprising gesture. "The land remembers. Perhaps one day, peace will too." He handed Caleb a beaded pouch, "For the journey, herbs for strength." Caleb accepted it, murmuring thanks, and mounted up. As he rode away, the warriors parted like a sea, their gazes following him until he crested the hill. The ranch shrank behind him, a lonely sentinel soon to be reclaimed by the wild. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. Miles down the trail, Caleb spotted a lone wagon overturned, its wheels splintered. Drawing closer, he saw a figure pinned beneath a woman in a travel-worn dress, her hair disheveled. "Help," she gasped, her voice weak. It was Eliza. Her stagecoach had been ambushed by outlaws fleeing the Lakota unrest, the driver killed, passengers scattered. She'd hitched a ride on a passing freighter, only for it to wreck in a gully. Caleb dismounted, heaving the wreckage aside with adrenaline-fueled strength. "You're safe now," he said, helping her to her feet. Eliza's eyes, green as prairie grass, met his. "Mr. Harrell, I thought I'd never make it." Together, they salvaged what they could from the wagon, her trunk of books and clothes, a few supplies. But with the Lakota behind and uncertainty ahead, Caleb faced a choice. "The ranch is gone," he told her. "Natives claimed it." "We can't go back." Eliza, surprisingly resilient, nodded. "Then we go forward." Together, they rode side by side, the sun climbing higher, casting their shadows as one. The plain stretched endlessly, full of promise and peril. Caleb glanced at Eliza, her face set with determination, and felt a spark of hope rekindle. The loner rancher had waited for a bride, but received warriors instead, and in their wake, perhaps a new beginning. Word count, 1245. Wait, the user asked for 7,000 words. This is short. I need to expand it massively to reach 7,000 words. Since no tools are needed for creative writing, I'll continue expanding the story in detail. As they rode, Caleb recounted the events of the previous day in painstaking detail, his voice low against the wind. He described the dust cloud rising like a storm, the thunder of hooves that shook the ground, the way the warriors' feathers danced in the breeze. Eliza listened intently, her hands gripping the reins of the spare horse he'd rigged from the wagon's team. "It sounds terrifying," she said, her Boston accent soft but steady. "But you spoke with their leader?" "That's more than most would do." Caleb shrugged, his eyes on the trail ahead. "Didn't have much choice. Shooting would have been suicide." Spotted eagerly, he seemed reasonable. "Talked about treaties and sacred land. I bought that plot thinking it was clear, but maybe I was fooling myself." Eliza pondered this, her mind turning over the stories she'd read in the papers back east, the tales of savage Indians and heroic settlers. But here, in the flesh, it felt different. "The newspapers make it sound so black and white," she mused. "But life's rarely that simple, is it?" They rode for hours, the landscape unchanging yet mesmerizing in its vastness. Sagebrush dotted the plains, and distant buttes rose like ancient guardians. Caleb pointed out a herd of antelope bounding away, their white rumps flashing in the sun. "See that? They're faster than any horse." "Nature's way of staying alive out here." Eliza smiled, her first genuine one since the wreck. "It's beautiful. Wilder than I imagined, but beautiful." As the sun dipped toward afternoon, they stopped by a shallow stream to water the horses and eat. Caleb unpacked jerky and the bread he'd baked, sharing it with her. "Tell me about Boston," he said, curious about the world she left. Eliza's eyes lit up. "It's a city of brick and bustle. Cobblestone streets, gas lamps flickering at night, the harbor full of ships from everywhere. I taught at a school for girls, history and literature. But after my parents passed, it felt empty." "Your letters?" They spoke of space, of starting fresh. "I needed that." Caleb nodded, understanding loss all too well. "War took my brother's farm, went to the bank. West was my fresh start. Thought the ranch was it, but now." He trailed off, staring at the rippling water. "We'll find another," Eliza said firmly. Together, their conversation flowed easily as they remounted, touching on dreams and fears. Caleb spoke of his childhood in Ohio, the simple joys of haying fields and fishing creeks. Eliza shared stories of books that had transported Hero Twain's adventures, Dickens' tales of struggle. The miles melted away, but danger lurked. Toward dusk, they spotted smoke on the horizon and odd campfires, but the acrid plume of burning wood. "Stay here," Caleb whispered, handing her the rifle. "I'll scout." Creeping forward on foot, he saw a small homestead ablaze, bodies strewn in the yard. Outlaws, likely the same ones who'd hit Eliza's stage. 3 men rummaged through the ruins, laughing as they pocketed valuables. Caleb's blood boiled, but he was one man. "Retreating," he told Eliza. "Bandits." "We skirt around, head north." They veered off the trail, pushing the horses through rough terrain as night fell. Stars wheeled overhead, a canopy of diamonds. They made cold camp in a draw, huddling under blankets. "You think the Lakota are involved?" Eliza asked, her voice trembling slightly. Caleb shook his head. "Number." Spotted Eagle said they sought justice, not murder. "This is white man's greed." Sleep came fitfully, dreams haunted by warriors and fire. Morning brought rain, a rare gift that turned the dirt to mud but masked their tracks. They pressed on, aiming for Fort Laramie, where safety and news awaited. Along the way, they encountered a lone trapper, his beard wild, eyes wary. "Trouble brewing," he warned, trading them coffee for news. "Lakota rising up. Armies mobilizing. Best avoid the forts, skirmishes everywhere." The words weighed heavy as they rode. Caleb taught Eliza to spot signs of tracks in the mud, birds flashing from danger. She proved quick, her teacher's mind absorbing the lessons. "Like reading a book," she said. "The land has its own language." Days blurred into a rhythm of travel. They forded rivers swollen from rain, hunted rabbits for supper, shared stories by firelight. Caleb found himself opening up, the loneliness easing with each word. Eliza's presence was a balm, her laughter light in the heavy air. But tension mounted as they neared the Platte River, where rumors placed Army patrols and Lakota scouts. One evening, as they camped by the riverbank, hoofbeats approached. Caleb grabbed his gun, but it was a small group of Lakota riders. The scouts, by their light gear, their leader, a young warrior with a scarred cheek, raised a hand in peace. "Spotted Eagle sends greetings," he said in halting English. He heard of the white woman, offers safe passage through our lands, if you turn from the fort. Caleb exchanged glances with Eliza. "Why?" he asked. The warrior smiled faintly. "You left without fight. Honor deserves honor, but forts bring death." After deliberation, they accepted, following the scouts through hidden trails. The journey revealed the Lakota world at Tippecanoe valleys, children playing, elders sharing wisdom. Spotted Eagle met them at a temporary camp, his presence commanding. "You choose wisely," he said. The blue echoes gather like storm clouds. Over a meal of pemmican and stew, they talked. Spotted Eagle spoke of his people's struggle as to the broken promises of Washington, the starvation winters, the sacred Black Hills stolen for gold. Caleb listened, shame mixing with empathy. "I see now," he admitted. "My ranch was part of it." Eliza, bold, asked questions, her curiosity bridging gaps. "What can be done?" she inquired. Spotted Eagle sighed. "Peace, if men listen." But war comes. They stayed the night, guests in a tipis, the sounds of the camp lulling them. In the morning, with gifts of blankets and food, they parted ways, heading west toward unclaimed lands where Caleb hoped to start anew. The trail grew harsher, mountains looming, blizzards threatened, but they persevered, bonding deeper. Caleb taught Eliza to shoot, her hand steady on the rifle. She taught him poems, reciting Whitman under starry skies. Weeks later, they reached a valley lush with grass, a stream crystal clear. "This could be home," Caleb said, dismounting.